So I was thinking about my friend that he liked singing, but then he knew he wasn't like very good. And then recently he started taking lessons, like from a teacher or a
Wow.
coach. And I think it's like similar with job searching that for people that maybe some people are just skilled in it or have had that experience and better. Some people are not. In everything, we kind of need a coach, whether it's informally or formally.
Hello, welcome back to Answer the Call podcast. This week we're highlighting another client success story that, again, I'm so excited to share with all of you. And that is Nathan's story. So I have Nathan on the podcast. He just landed an amazing job. He actually starts tomorrow. So he is spending his Friday sabbatical, or sabbatical Friday, as I called it, with us on the podcast. So Nathan, thank you so much for being here. Would you mind just giving a quick intro of what, like, just who you are, and by that I
Yeah,
mean what job you're going into. Any other details you want to share is fine.
sure. Thanks for having me, Audrey. So I will be starting tomorrow with United Way of Houston, and it's an executive coordinator, executive assistant role to the VP of strategy and also a VP of community outreach there. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited to be able to kind of start something new. Before, my background was in engineering, and then I worked overseas doing missions work. And so when I came back, I had gotten connected with you guys through a friend that was also in the program at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I was so excited when we started talking because your story was so interesting to me, of like the engineering and the missions work, and now you're back in the US and just trying to figure everything out. So, can you share a little bit more of just like where you were at mentally as you got back to the US looking for a new job and trying to navigate that before coaching?
hmm So actually, I can start a little bit earlier because, like, as you said, I started in engineering and then I went to something else.
Mm-hmm.
So when I graduated, I graduated with a petroleum degree from University of Austin, of Texas at Austin. And during that time, I was looking for something related in oil and gas engineering. But it was the oil and gas downturn during that time, around like 2018, 19. And a lot of my friends also had started working in it, but then really didn't enjoy the work-life balance or just the environment. And I saw a lot of them leave very quickly.
Hmm.
So during that time, I was already thinking about trying to pivot to something else, but I really didn't know how, I guess. And that process was difficult. Like, I guess I think I was mostly doing it on my own or alone and didn't really reach out to other people for help. I saw there was people that did that, but I think there was just something fearful about asking or getting other people's feedback and help on those kind of things, like informal coaching, per se. So then eventually I did find something, and then pandemic hit, and I had been thinking about missions work for the last like 4 or 5 years, and then pivoted to that. And then coming back to the States, I was kind of pretty certain I wanted to go back into the workforce, but I wasn't sure what exactly. And I was applying for like three different types of roles, which was a struggle just because it was like every single application that if it was different, I had to change my resume. And then cover letter wise, also, I was very slow at putting it together. So it would just take me a very long time to apply for something, and I would put in so much effort into an application and just to not really hear back anything at all. So that was kind of the process. And then I think I was between like an analyst position, trying to stay within engineering or stay within data, and also considering something more in business or consulting or more to just nonprofit work. And in that, I wasn't even sure what role, but I knew I wanted to be a part of something more mission oriented. So
Hmm.
yeah, when I found out about Called Career from my friend who was in it, I think I didn't have too many reservations. Like I think I was excited to get help. I think there was just from what he had shared about the process that you all brought him through for the reflections and being able to narrow down uh, what to search for and how to do that. I think I was pretty confident that as long as I put in the work with you all, that also with the support, that it would be better, at least like a better process. And then I think on the lower end, I would at least learn more about just like how to kind of go through this career searching journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you really did follow the process so well. Our nickname for Nathan was King of Action because he was good at taking actions. I want to get into that in a second, but kind of going just chronologically through the process, especially with that clarity process, because when you're saying that you're kind of bouncing around between a few different jobs, that is so common. I see that so often in people. And I think there's a big fear around narrowing it down to one kind of job with just a scarcity mindset of, well, isn't it better to be flexible and to like fit into a bunch of different jobs? So, what came up for you kind of as we were starting to narrow it down that just was important in your career that you wanted to prioritize? Like, what came out of the clarity process that maybe you didn't realize before, or just you were able to really call out these things as being the most important thing that you're looking for?
Yeah, I think one was definitely the first, just like doing the kind of releasing fears activity
Yeah.
and then listening to those resources about that, just to be able to get past the hump of like, I want to not let go of any of these options. Like, I want to keep trying for all of them and then see what comes versus let me go with this one and that will actually increase my odds of landing something or at least getting the interview. Um, I think the big one for me was probably one, the informational interviews, but also the interviews with like friends or family members, people that knew me. And then also, I'm trying to remember, it was, I think, the like activity of what in those jobs can you really not do? Like, or finding the big thing of like the big task or everyday thing where it's like, would you enjoy doing it or would you be able to do it, but it wouldn't really bring you
Mm.
joy or satisfaction? That was really helpful. So that kind of, I think, cut down some of the other ones. And so for me, it was like people interaction. I can do computer work, but it's not, I would not prefer it for at least 70% of the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that really helped to be able to choose to go in the other direction, even though like I was kind of in between of like I want to still utilize my engineering background and like some of my technical skills. But I think letting go of that and being able to say I can go into the other way and just find other ways to use my technical skills or grow them uh, was a big step for me.
Yeah, that's huge, especially for my people that have these degrees like engineering or lawyers. I see this a lot with lawyers, like letting go of that. It's like, okay, I put so much effort and work into getting this degree or maybe multiple degrees, and you're still using some of it, but it's just not so direct. And people on the outside probably don't see it, and that's okay. They're like, I don't understand how this makes sense. But it's also one of my favorite things is not making sense to people, because I think that's just a beautiful testament of like actually living what God has for you, because human beings are complex and our stories are complex. So I think that's a really big thing that you hit on right there, of just kind of being able to let go of things, or just being a little bit more open-handed with what you've done in the past and how that might affect in the future what you're going to do. And then also what you had said about, I remember that being big for you when we kind of started to put things in numbers basis. Like, okay, do you want to be doing this 50% of the time? Like, you can do X, Y, and Z. I know you can. but do you want
Yeah.
to? And sometimes we
Yeah.
forget that question. Just like, is this how you want to be spending your time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we narrow it down to, well, first it was more like donor relations in the
Yeah.
nonprofit. And that's what you started to apply to. So, how did that kind of evolve into the role that you are starting?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I think had I had like operations things, and then I think also before, and I had also talked with a a family friend that's in like pretty high up in HR about that as well, and there was something on the ends of wanting to go towards like a chief of staff role,
Mhm.
um, but that's definitely further along in the path than right now. But then I don't think I had considered like I guess executive assistant, executive coordinator role at first. And within the donor roles, I got connected from just from my outreach with someone that is a nonprofit, and then they had referred me to United Way's job board because they just post a lot of different nonprofit jobs in Houston. So that was where I was mostly looking, and that was really helpful for my search. And I saw that they had a position that was for the executive coordinator, and it kind of fit. And I really just applied on a whim there because I was still pretty focused on donor relation roles.
Mhm.
So I didn't even change the resume for that one. It was more of just let's just see. But I did do my outreach after that on LinkedIn, reaching out to the VP herself, and then she had responded back. And so I really think with that, that gave me at least a small window of opportunity where she was able to see the proactivity and then
Mhm.
gave me a phone interview after that. But yeah, it wasn't, I was applying to, I guess, just any nonprofit roles afterwards, especially as I was applying for the donor roles and realized like, okay, I can apply for some other ones. Just I am focused in here's my resume that it's focused for one, but then within the application, then I can broaden it a little bit more. And Tim's help with the resume was really, really helpful.
Yes, Tam, our resume writer, crushed it. I always love seeing y'all's resumes after he does them because I get to be on the email chains. I'm like, oh my gosh, look how impressive they. I knew they were impressive, but now people screening them for jobs are going to know that they're super impressive because he does such a great job and helps coach you through that process as well. But you really again hit the nail on the head with how to approach the job hunts. We go through clarity, we get you super specific on what you're going for, but then I want you, and you did this, but I want everybody to open it up a little bit when you actually start applying to the jobs. Be focused, but don't be so black and white. There is a little bit of gray area there where it's like, oh, this job, I actually would really like this job. And maybe it doesn't fit under the 5 different job title variations that we've already identified, but I'm just going to give it a go and it's not going to suck all of the energy out of me and it's not going to take over my life because I'm remaining detached and I'm remaining like open to other opportunities. That's a very important mindset to have so that it doesn't take over your life. But I'm just going to apply and then I'm going to do some outreach. And this is what can come of that, like getting a job that you love and you're excited about and that you're starting tomorrow.
Mhm.
So with the outreach, you reached out to the VP. Did you have any hesitation or were you just like, hey, this is the name of the game. I got to send this outreach. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I think at first in the informational interview process, I think I was a little more hesitant and it was slower, but it's kind of like a practice round before actually starting to apply and outreach. And they're a little bit different, but like I think once I just started to reach out and do it and kind of release the fear, I guess, of rejection and also not hearing back, thinking more on the side of positive outcome and also even for people like that I knew or reaching out to them, they were responsive and helpful. I think that really encouraged me because I guess I had some fears of like what will people think? I think maybe some people think that a lot or are similar to me in that. And not that it doesn't matter at all, but I think it's a good, like what we're doing or what you're doing is a good thing. And also connecting and wanting to hear from them and get their thoughts and output. And I really did see like people liked sharing advice, or it makes them feel like expert or smart. And so that made it a lot easier later on. And then for job wise, it was a little bit different, but still just trying to reach out and connect. And I think it was like having a learning mindset, but exuding that publicly for them to see that like I want to continue to grow, but also I can contribute. I think that was a big one as well that I learned from you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm open to learning, but I'm here first and foremost to serve. Let me serve you and contribute. And here's exactly how I could do that. Amazing. Nathan, you are literally going to be our new spokesperson. Everything you're saying is music to my ears, especially when you're talking about how the informational interviews is kind of the warm up for the outreach that you do in phase 2, which is landing the job. That's designed intentionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is a little bit, it's harder to get started with the informational interview outreach, but it's a little bit easier because it's just not so, it's more just conversational and connecting. While in the job search process, like, hey, can I have this job? Not
Mm-hmm.
actually like that, but it's a little bit, it can feel a little bit more, just feel harder for people. So you need that warm up time, and it's really helpful to take those skills and those tools and that fears that you've already released and just be able to overcome those again in phase 2 when you're doing that outreach. So what, were you setting the template of like, I know you need someone who can do X, Y, and Z, here's how I've done that? Or were you sending a different kind of message? That,
Mm-hmm.
which one worked?
I think I used that one, but then I changed it a little bit to sound a little bit more to sound like me, but I kept it for the most part. And then I'm trying to remember, really at first it was because for the outreach in applying, like first you just had to reach out and connect and then you could send the message. All right, I stopped putting the message in the
Connect.
initial one
No, yeah.
because yeah, I think I realized people, not that many people are looking at it. Um, so that was a lot easier. Like I would search strategically who I'm gonna reach out to. Like this person is good for that, or really trying to find who that hiring manager was. But then I would have it ready, and then once they responded, then I would kind of cater it a little bit depending on who they were to. Because if it's not the hiring manager, then I'm not sending that message out. And it was a little bit more like a informational interview one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amazing. So I wanted to share your exact numbers because I think people will find that so helpful. And yeah, just people, because I think so many people out there are like, I've been applying to 100 jobs. I haven't heard back. Is this normal? All this stuff. So Nathan's numbers. Nathan, you applied to 31 jobs and you contacted 41 people and you had 6 interviews. Let me ask you, how do you feel about those numbers?
Pretty good. I think it was within like about a month
Mm-hmm.
and a half. Uh, I probably uh, I probably applied to a handful more that were just quicker ones, but not as high priority. And then, but I know for the outreach clicking, at least like who I'm trying to connect with, it was at least double.
Yeah, yeah, like who you sent the connection request to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think one of the big ones from that I was starting to see the fruit of was that like if I did connect with one person and then they referred, or they were starting to it, it gave me access into the community of like
Mm-hmm.
they were all related, and then once you had a few, then they would also allow more. So that was really, really eye-opening for me.
Yeah, it That's such a great point because people at a company, let's just choose Google, right? You're trying to connect with people at Google. They're going to be so much more likely to connect with you if you're already connected with one of their coworkers. They're
Hmm.
like, oh, or if we just have a mutual connection or whatever. That is huge. So just getting that first connection, and I want, you to be careful about who you're sending connection to. Don't just like blindly connect with anyone. But I will say it, you don't have to be too strict. Like just
Yeah.
try to get into that first connection, into that first conversation. I see a lot of people get caught up on trying to find the perfect contact. And we got to lay that down. We got to lay that expectation down and just try to get a good contact because of what you're saying. It's easier to get into the circle that way and to kind of just be like, oh, do you know anything about this role? No? Okay, great. Do you know someone who does? And kind of just going on that investigative journey is really helpful. So to break down your numbers a little bit more, I put them into percentages too. So with how many applications you sent and how many interviews you had from that, at least with what you have in the tracking sheet, it's about a 20% um, interview rate, which is great. And at this point, when you're applying to jobs, we're really the first step. Obviously, the ultimate goal is to get a job, but the first step is to really get into that interview process, because that's where you find out so much more information and that you just have so much more control in the situation because you can control how you show up and what you say and all these things, rather than when you're just applying and it feels sometimes like a black hole.
Dart, like a, yeah, a
Yeah.
dart toss.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you should feel really good about those numbers, is what I was saying. And if I were to tell you, even just we'll go like 10 months ago, before we started working together, hey, you'll just need to send 31 job applications and you're going to get a job from that. Would that have sounded like a lot or a little? Would you have believed me?
No, like I was also thinking it would take a lot longer. So I think on that end, that was really God also. But I think definitely also I felt like it was only a matter of time, or like if I just continued the route of outreach and going through that, like because I was seeing at least more opportunities even amongst different people that were willing to help.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Yeah.
speed of which it happened, that was a like a miracle.
Mm. Yes, it is. It is all the Lord, and it's your faithfulness too, showing up and um, putting in the work and earning your well-deserved title of King of Action. And also, I forget exactly how Kelsey phrased it the other week, but like chillest superstar ever. Nathan would come on our group calls and be like, yeah, I've got 3 interviews next week. We're like, oh, amazing. Um, so that was great just to see your success and see that come from your diligence and through the Lord's faithfulness, and just the fruit that came from that as well was such a privilege to see. So if you were to, again, think about yourself before starting this program, what would you tell yourself when it came to coaching? Or maybe somebody who's listening who is like, I don't know if coaching is for me. What would you say to them?
Hmm. I think I would tell them at least, or tell myself like it doesn't hurt to at least get on that first call.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, whether it's with you guys or with like I know that Kelsey recommends like some other of her friends or people that also do career coaching on the site, just to kind of see what there is to offer. But I really think this is what I wrote and kind of thought about was like when we're learning new stuff or something that we're maybe not so good at but want to get good at. So I was thinking about my friend that he liked singing, but then he knew he wasn't like very good, and then recently he started taking lessons like from a teacher or a
Wow.
coach. And I think it's like similar with job searching, that for people that maybe some people are just skilled in it or have had that experience and better, some people are not. but they know they want to get better or grow in it. I think like in everything, we kind of need a coach, whether it's informally or formally. And so this would be more formal. I think it's really beneficial for people just to be able to have someone to talk them through the steps, and then also have like a network of people. I think that's what makes you guys special, of like getting to hear what the other people are going through, having our prayer calls, and then having the digital community, just being able to see what other people are up to. It's encouraging to be like, oh, we're in this together. It's hard, but then also, oh, this person's has this success, or hearing other people's wins. And so I would tell them definitely at least give it a try. But I think at the end, like even if I know there are people that probably didn't find a job right away at the end, but as long as they continue the mindset, I feel like there's so many things, even from the resources that you all provide, that are really indispensable and useful, of just changing the approach of like career journey.
Yeah. Oh, so wonderfully put. Thank you. And yeah, I think that community aspect is something that I really try to share with people, especially in that first call together, the career strategy consultation, because job searching can feel so isolating and so lonely. So just realizing that other people are going through it and being alongside them in that, and like you said, sharing in their wins, and having people also be able to talk you up when something didn't work out, or kind of sharing in that with people as well, is so helpful. And I know that you've been an inspiration to a lot of people on these calls, just like you showing up and sharing how you've moved forward in these processes, these interview processes, and then landing a job, and you did the thing. So that's great. And then also something that I definitely try to focus on, Kelsey and I both do, is throughout this entire career change journey, is that yes, we're helping you get a new career, but hopefully, like you said, just helping you build new mindsets and understandings of what this job search can mean for who you are and who you're becoming, and how it's actually really spiritually and character refining. And God works so much through that. So there's a lot of just transformation that comes through that as well, which is really special to see. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a small part of this journey with you. It's been an honor to see you go like truly step by step through all of it, and also land a job at a dream company. I mean, I hear a couple companies thrown around pretty regularly, just given the nature of people that, working with Christians. One is Habitat for Humanity. Another is United Way. So that's great. Thank you for being here today as well, Nathan.
Thank you, Audrey. It was really great working with you and Kelsey.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get an even more meaningful head start into your calling, head to thecalledcareer.com, where my fellow career coach Audrey and I have created a whole suite of free resources and tools to help you get clear and get a job today. For those who are definitely ready to land a job or start a business in the next 6 to 12 months, we're here to help you biblically and practically discern your calling through coaching, reflection, and deep market research. Identify the job that's aligned with it, even if you currently have no idea what you want. Rebrand your resume and LinkedIn to translate your background to appeal to your future boss. P.S. We take this off your plate and do this for you. Also, we'll teach you how to land referrals and get attention from leadership through networking. Again, if that makes you nervous, we have these emails and LinkedIn messages literally written for you, so you don't have to sweat. We're also here to give you unlimited interview practice, so you're prepared to address every elephant in the room and knock selling yourself out of the park. Then we'll round out with helping you negotiate your salary so you land thousands more. Just so you know, recent clients have gotten $8,000 to $50,000 salary increases, even though they were totally non-traditional candidates. That's because we specialize in helping non-traditional career pivoters land jobs they're ecstatic to serve in. It takes work, but we're here to see you through until the end, when we're celebrating that day that you send me an email in all caps and you say, Kelsey, I got the job. Then you could be on the podcast. But I'll be here until then, keeping you accountable and encouraged by meeting with you literally until you land the job you want, even if that's up to 6 months from now within our program. Apply to join at thecalledcareer.com, and I'll see you next week here at Answer the Call. Bye for now.